Okay. Good to go.
We are ready to go.
Excellent. All right, I call this regular Board of Education meeting to order at 7:02 PM on July 21st, 2025. Ms. Sully, will you please call the roll?
Jennifer Glickly. Here. Chris Hamilton. Erica Peterson.
Here.
Jillian Phelps. Here. John Rickles.
Here.
Brad Stepstrom.
Here.
And Lisa Wooster.
Here.
Excellent. Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, are there any public comments?
Or not.
Excellent. Any addition of non-action items? Okay. Before we get into the action items, after 6B, I would like to go into closed session so we can discuss some of those other items lower down on the action items. Is that acceptable to everyone? Move our closed session from the end of the meeting to after 6B and then proceed.
Makes sense.
All right. Sounds good. Okay, approve the fiscal year 26 draft budget for public posting and presentation. Looks like we have a copy here and let Scrap take it from there.
Alrighty, so first up is approving a draft budget for public posting. We're required to post the draft budget for 30 days before we have a public hearing. And get the budget approval, which will be in August. So the presentation that Dr. Lind is displaying, as well as the paper version in front of you, goes through the highlights of the budget. And once we get through the presentation, then I just ask the board for that okay to post, and we will post it tomorrow to the website and post it in the newspaper on Wednesday. So you've seen this before. This is the budget calendar. It basically just goes through the life cycle of the budget and just summarizes what I just mentioned. We'll have a public hearing on August 25th. The last day to adopt the annual budget is September 30th, but we'll get it done a month before. And then once it's approved, we have 30 days to file it with the county clerk and with the state and post it to the website. You may recall this slide as well. This is more just for educational purposes. We do what's called fund accounting to manage our revenues and expenditures. These are the 9 funds that make up our budget. And this slide, again, is just here for educational purposes as a reference. So the budget is driven by goals. So the goals for this year are improving programs and curriculum, increasing number of and quality of professional development opportunities, and maintaining or decreasing class sizes. So we take those goals as the foundation for the items that we are going to purchase throughout the year. And it's also documented on the evidence-based funding tab of the actual budget document. I think in the last board meeting, we went over a budget very high level. It's just what we anticipate on spending and receiving in terms of revenue at a given point in time. So our expenditure highlights, I'm going to put my glasses on and read it from in front of me. We have known costs, which are going to be the salaries, because we typically have negotiated those before the fiscal year starts. We know what the benefits increases were, as well as our recurring technology applications. However, every year there are unknown expenses. So we never really know exactly how much we'll spend on substitute costs or how many staff may request development or professional development. We never know in the middle of the year if we'll get a new special ed student. Changes to vendor contracts, student and enrollment and employee count, and labor agreements that could impact the future budget as well. At this time, we believe that the student enrollment will remain flat, so it does not impact the budget. And our culture here at Milburn is only to spend money when we absolutely need to.
What makes you think it's gonna remain flat? Just no
Well,
building coming?
exactly. So no new subdivisions that we know of, or There's a potential new townhome subdivision going in just north of Children of America, but I can't anticipate that that would bring many students at all. If it gets built, because it's a small area. But other than that, there are no big subdivisions on the horizon, and if people, there might be turnout, or turnover, you'll see that in your neighborhood. People move out, some new students move in, but that kind of just is a wash year after year. So our revenue highlights, they come from three sources: federal, state, and local. So we have a couple grants that we apply for every year. Our state is evidence-based funding, and local are property taxes, student fees, and building sales. As we all know, the majority of our revenue comes from property taxes. The known revenue examples are evidence-based funding. Typically, the majority of federal grants are known by this time. Title II is the only one that is up in the air right now. For this year's budget, as of right now, I did not put anything in for Title II. If something does come up later in the year, I anticipate that we'll be doing an amended budget. But I just wanted to go with what we have and know right now.
So we know for sure that we're gonna get Title I, Title III.
Yes, those funds have already been allocated.
Okay.
The state
Title.
has them.
Yeah,
One-
Title I and IV.
1 and 4,
Mhm.
okay.
We don't take Title III. Forget it, qualify for it.
Right, and so Title IV, we're moving into Title II, so. If you really dug into the budget pages, which is a very lengthy Excel document, you will see $10,000 under Title II, but that came from Title IV. We have the option to transfer that. So changes to anticipated rentals, interest, and federal and state funding could impact the budget as well. Interest is another interesting thing. We never really know what the interest rates will do. Over the past couple of years, we've heard that the feds will cut the rates, but they don't seem to do that, and we end up with more interest. So this is another reason I think we'll be doing an amended budget in the middle of the year. If we go down to the next slide, this shows the operating funds. So the operating funds are the education, building and grounds, transportation, and working cash funds. Shows the difference between what we actually received in fiscal year 25, which just ended June 30th, and what we anticipate receiving. The numbers look very close. Part of the reason is because the actual revenue is accounting for accrued tax dollars from fiscal year 26. So the spring revenue that we received kind of bumps up the actual revenue. But the gist of this slide is basically to say that because of other revenue decreases, building rental, some grant decreases, the difference between the actual revenue and anticipated revenue is kind of flat or even decreases under Fund 20 of it. This slide is highlighting the 9 funds, what their revenue and expenses are, and whether or not there's a surplus or a deficit. So you'll see that under a number of the funds, there are deficits. We'll go through each of the funds in high level detail in just a moment. But if we go to the next slide, the good news is that when the state is looking to see if the district has a deficit budget or not, they're only looking at funds 10, 20, 40, and 70. And as you can see, it's a balanced budget, even with the other funds that had some deficits.
And 20, 40, and 70,
Yes,
looks like we're way, we have a big surplus, no?
100.
100,000, which would be 0.5%.
and that's as of today. So I anticipate over the next month or two, we may get some additional information. So essentially what will happen over the next few weeks, we can continue talking about the budget if you have any questions at the next board meeting. And as I continue to get additional information, for example, if there are any additional students to place out of district, or if we end up hiring another bus driver that we desperately need, and what I put in for that person's salary is different. I'll make those tweaks to the budget over the next few weeks, and I'm anticipating that 108 number will change.
But it is better than last year's budget. Yes, last year we're under 20,000 for
Yes,
cushion.
yes. Very true. Okay, so this is, these are just pie charts that highlight the revenues and expenditures for the education fund. As we know, property taxes are our biggest, revenue, and salaries and benefits are our biggest expenditures, but these are just FYI, if you're curious to see, where the rest of the dollars are spent under Fund 10. We go to the next slide. And scroll over a bit so that the fiscal year 26 information column appears. So that is basically just highlighting what some of the assumptions going into the budget are. So we have $45,000 for lane changes for teachers as they advance across the salary schedule. Just over $200,000 for substitute costs, sorry. We had a 9% increase to PPO medical, so that's about $200,000 more than we paid last year across all the funds. And then another big increase from last year is what we put in other funds here. So we're going up from $300,000 to $600,000 for expenses for special ed tuition, essentially. Go to the next slide. So same concept. These are just pie charts that break out revenues and expenditures for Fund 20. Don't think we need to spend too much time there. The assumptions are, again, benefit increases. We had a pretty big HVAC repair in the media center here. So we have that as the $40,000 in the HVAC system. And just to break out of how we spend the dollars under Fund 20. Transportation, I guess what's a little bit different about transportation is that we don't receive any federal dollars for transportation. So the chart is kind of just split down the middle. Again, salaries actually are not the biggest expenditure under Fund 40. It's our purchase services, which is our bus lease and cab costs. So we have one opening for a remaining bus driver. I'm hoping to fill that very soon. The majority of our drivers do not take benefits. If they do, they're under the HMO plan. So that's why there's actually a decrease in the budgeted amount for benefits. The increase in purchase services is for the bus lease. And right now there's a cab cost that's pretty significant. My hope is to hopefully eliminate it with another bus driver and just create a route to get that person down, because it's over $70,000. So we move on to the next slide. Working cash. This is like our rainy day fund. It's essentially a savings account. We cannot just spend money out of it. I'm anticipating about $63,000 from property taxes, so that our cash flow at the end of next year in working cash is just over $930,000. I won't spend too much time here. These are just the remaining funds. We have debt and retirement, which is Social Security and INRF, tort, which is our liability insurance, life safety, which are building adjustments for life safety features within the building, and capital projects. And we'll talk about capital projects in just a moment. We jump down to the next slide. Just a summary of the initiatives that the budget is trying to obtain. So we're attracting and retaining quality staff, purchasing a new English language arts curriculum at the middle school, replacing the elementary school East Gym floor. and doing some pretty big, hopefully some pretty big building maintenance projects. So tuck pointing, some rooftop unit repairs, it's the HVAC systems. And something called rod and seal joint improvements. And then just our future budget, our future project considerations. We know that our parents prefer small class sizes. We're in need of a new English language arts curriculum in the middle school. And our goal is always to maintain safe, buildings and grounds. And then just a reminder for folks who were not here, last year, in fiscal year 24, our architect did a, pretty comprehensive facilities assessment that provided us with a 10-year building and grounds plan, which will help us drive our budget for future years. So we actually use this plan to help determine which projects under Fund 60 capital projects we would put into the budget this year. So the ones with a higher priority. And maybe it's. Any questions?
Were you saying we spend 70 grand for one student for transportation for the cab service?
It could cost that. So what we'll try to do is, put a route, like have a driver take that person down.
No, I was just. wondering if
yes.
it was just
Yes.
one, or if it was like an area where it was more than this one. Don't we get reimbursed for some of
We
that?
do, yeah, that's a great question. So we do get a reimbursement from the state. It's a year in arrears, so all of the expenditures, in terms of bus lease, driver salaries and benefits, cab costs. We submit that to the state at the end of the fiscal year, and they give us a prorated amount the next year. However, this is one of what is called a mandated categorical by the state, and it's a place where they cut funding to keep their overall budget balanced. So we're pretty sure that the transportation reimbursement for this year will be less than, or I should say, more heavily prorated than it was last year. They're anticipating 61% versus the 71% that it was last year. So I did bake that into the budget. The trick with that is that claim is submitted now, and then the state takes all of the information from all of the school districts, figures out what they need to dole out. And then we hear back in October what we're actually getting.
Right.
So hence another reason the budget will be amended in the middle of the year.
That's also a big point that IASB is fighting for, because the state's budgeting has pretty much stayed flat for a decade, and so it's not us, it's only us, it's our whole association is trying to get that 61% back up to 80 or 90. 100 would be great.
I didn't look through every line on this, but I know last year, maybe it was the year before, where interest rates had gone up, so we made more money in interest.
Mhm.
So how do we make money in interest? While the money's sitting there, it's in a bank making interest?
Yes, so we participate in what's called a sweep account, and so all of the money that we get, all of the revenue that we're getting from the state, from federal reimbursement fees, it's going into this savings account essentially with a pretty high interest rate, higher than what some short-term CDs offer. So that money, then the bank puts it in every month right into our sweep account.
I'm not saying we should do this,
Sure.
but as interest rates go down, do we look at other investments other than savings account, i.e., let's say the government came out with a stable coin or something like that? Do we look at stuff like that, or it's just like we're bound by what we have to do?
No, so we have been keeping an eye on that, because at some point the interest rates will drop, and maybe there will be a point where some sort of short-term investment tool is of value. However, as we've been looking into this on a regular basis, the rate that State Bank of the Lakes is giving us with the sweep account has always been higher. So yes, we are
We
looking
do look
into,
at that kind of stuff.
we are not what was the point you just mentioned?
They don't even have it yet, but
Oh.
you know, just like other investments, you know, I heard. Like 10 years ago, some school invested in Snapchat, the IPO, stuff like that, and all of a sudden. They made $300,000. I just wonder if we just put it into a.
We do have somebody approved as our investor, correct, or no? Like, we don't
Oh.
have,
Our treasurer,
yes,
Dr. John, so,
he's in charge of that?
he can manage that, yes.
Right.
Yeah, no, we're in charge of that
Okay,
as a collective whole, but he could investigate, and he did some comparisons. Last year with different banks.
Right.
We looked at Fifth Third, I think you mentioned
Yes.
that, and, another bank to see if our bank is giving us the best rate. And we were doing pretty well. We also do a comparison, there are companies that work directly with school districts, PMA and Stifle, something. Different companies that do investments like that for school districts, and they will look at your funding and make sure that it's. You know, you have enough liquid and do that, and they looked at what we were getting from State Bank of the Lakes, and they said, yeah, I think you should stick with them.
So we
Because
do look at that. sort of
we do
stuff.
look at it,
Because as interest rates go back down to 2, let's
Sure.
say, and you know, the average market rate is 15 or
and
whatever.
CDs or
It's-
something else, some other. So we also have an investment policy, the board has an investment policy. And there are it has to be a stable fund, it can't, we would not invest in an IPO in the stock market, that's a bad thing. School district.
I would say put all the money in there, but if you put 5% in there,
Yeah,
you know, and
We're-
all
we
I'm
wouldn't
saying
be
is
allowed
someone,
unless we
is
change
someone
the
looking
policy.
at that. I'm not even saying I wouldn't know.
just like,
Whether I anticipate rates are gonna come down, maybe I'm wrong, but you know, if they do get lowered, I remember it was a nice windfall for us.
Yep.
When rates went up.
yeah,
And
we're
what do we-
relying on that money.
I mean,
now.
it sucked as a community member, but from a school revenue point of view, we make more money. If that goes down, we look at other things to kind
Yes.
of offset what we've been enjoying for a
Yes.
while.
It's a good question.
any other questions? About the budget? All right, do I have a, oh, thank you, yes, very much. Do I have a motion to approve the draft budget for public hosting?
I move to approve the draft for public posting.
Is there a second? Thank you. Ms. Sulu, will you please call the roll?
Jennifer Glickly. Yes. Erica Peterson,
Yes.
Jillian Phelps.
Yes.
John Ruggles.
Yes.
Brad Stephen.
Yes,
And Lisa Booster.
Yes.
Motion passed.
thank you. Okay, next 6B, approve the food services lunch costs for the 25-26 school year. The basis, the numbers, I'm sure Dr. Lynn will pull up. Our costs went up 3.6% from Whitson's, formerly Arbor. And the amount going up now is right around there. It's not exactly 3.6, so that way we get a nice round 40 cents instead of 38 or whatever, so. Any specific questions on it? We have ice cream on there and cookies.
That was actually my question, which is why are we selling cookies and ice cream to the students? It just seems, unless I'm missing something, like an odd thing to be doing with school children who are here for maybe 6-8 hours a day. I don't know if there's like a profit thing that we're getting from it, but I just thought that was a strange, when I saw that, I was like, oh, the kids can just come and buy ice cream and cookies all day and then go to class, and then we wonder why there's discipline issues, or, anyway, I just didn't know why we do that.
Yes,
Go ahead.
yep, that's a good question, and we've had that question come up in the past, it's been a while since we've talked about that. We don't encourage kids to do that, that's not us selling it, it's the company Whitson's is selling that. My guess is that it's a pretty good profit margin for the profit center for them to offer that, they offer fruit as well. And Carly can share how much that we brought in revenue for that we would, that pay Whitson's, but.
So last year, so first of all, the ice cream and the cookies are only sold at the middle school level. Last year.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that, I was thinking this was, okay.
Yeah, I didn't
so
know that.
that's
either, so.
Okay,
Yeah, so, last year at the middle school, Whitson sold just under $60,000 worth of lunches and about $17,000 worth of cookies, ice creams, and also maybe fruits and vegetables are in there. It's all a la carte. It just kind of gets.
500 is my job.
For cookies?
Yeah.
So there is that revenue. We're small. It's really hard to find a food service vendor to come into our district and provide.
So it's something they insist on being able to sell, kind of.
They're not
They have.
insisting necessarily,
They did
but
before. Maybe they haven't recently.
Yeah.
I recall them being very, not happy when we said, no, can't serve
Are
ice
there
cream,
nutritional requirements? I know through,
only for the school lunch.
not for anything extra. But they're selling baked chips, not regular chips.
Right.
So they're recognizing that there has to be a.
I would say too, with the point of service system, we use Pushcoin. Whenever a student purchases cookie or ice cream, an email goes to the parent and the parent sees that day what the student purchased. So if there's a concern, at least the parent can have a conversation with the student. But it's probably a little bit of a revenue reason.
It doesn't just go to Bushcoin. I get an email. So
Right,
it tells me,
right.
hey,
Yeah.
your kid just spent money.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, and we've had that conversation. Lend to children.
Yeah.
The other argument that I recall from the past, and I don't think Carla was involved in that either. Actually the PTO used to sell ice cream on Friday for a fundraiser. And that's not allowed. You can't be a competition with the school lunch people. So we couldn't do that anymore, and that was a big deal at that time. Do you recall that one?
That's been a problem for us in our clubs, like our clubs can't sell things at lunch because of our
Right.
lunch people, so I think that's pretty common.
But the point was also, if you look at what parents are sending with their children to lunch, I'm not as concerned about the cookies and ice cream as I am about the other items that are packed in many of our kids, not all of our kids, but some of the kids' lunch is pretty disturbing, and wonder why we have issues after lunch with behaviors.
Yeah, well, it helps know, I just was curious, and I was thinking like first graders or second graders can be doing this, I didn't realize it was just at least the older kids.
So it's a great question. It's a good question.
And this is still this is lower than what Whitson's charged us. We are still subsidizing it.
Yes,
Uh,
that's a great question. If you're curious, so last year, well, for the new board members, last year was, I think, one of the first years where we charged less than what the food service vendor was charging the district, just because there was such a significant increase in the food cost. So in fiscal year 2025, the difference between revenues and expenditures in the whole food service program was $55,000. 25,000 of that went towards a kitchen steamer at the elementary school, and 30,000 is paying for the stipends for the lunch supervision. So, but yes, there's a bit of a gap here as well. So I'm anticipating probably a very similar $25,000 difference for this year.
So what do they charge us per meal?
I think it's $480. Somewhere in the 480. I can look it up.
That'd be the difference between the regular lunch and then the reduced lunch.
No,
The 40 40 cents.
Closer to the adult lunch price is what they charge. So, you know, if a
Yes.
parent or a teacher wants, they can pay full price, essentially, is what we decided last time. But so that is a discussion we can have if we want to cease subsidizing that lunch price and pass the full cost on to the parents, the individual parents that are taking from the rest of our budget, or if we want to reduce it and subsidize, have the parents pay less per meal and pull from another fund. That's a discussion we can have.
so the cost to the district is $4.89 for lunch. One thing to note, if whatever the student lunch is, the adult lunch must be 50 cents more than the student lunch. Based off of a state law.
Just one man's perspective, my kids don't eat lunch at school. And I don't mind subsidizing lunch that others. As someone who doesn't use the lunch program, you start getting these lunches over $5. I think the lunch price is too high now. Hate to take it up.
For someone that does pay for 2 kids for hot lunch, it does get a little pricey, so I mean, I would advocate to continue to the subsidize, just to. For those parents that do use the lunch, like I do for both my children, so, it does kind of help a little bit if you do pay for lunches.
So I don't mind that. I think it should remain low, even though I don't use the lunch program.
Can I clarify the subsidy piece? That $30,000 we pay for supervision? That's part of that subsidy, right?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So we would have to, so part of the cost for lunch is the supervision for the kids when they're in the lunchroom that we're including in those costs. So when we subsidize, all kids are getting the benefit of supervision during lunch. Somebody's got to be with the kids. So it's not a direct cost of the lunch piece that we're subsidizing. Depends on how you look at it. Because we charge, electricity and the use of the kitchen and all of that goes into our lunch charge and the supervision. So we'd have to do, if we didn't have lunch, we'd have to do something with those children. So it's not really, we're still okay. And I just want to clarify.
I would also point out, I worked with Whitson's on these prices. Whitson's really wanted to stay at 440. Or maybe even a little bit lower, 435. Because they believe once the lunch rate goes up to a certain point, less students will purchase the lunch, and then we're really not utilizing the service that much at all. So 440 is where we landed with Whitson's recommendation.
Just out of curiosity, do we know the percentage roughly of how many students buy hot lunch? Just curious.
Yes.
Don't think hard about it. Just
No,
you know.
Ben
Yeah.
said that last time.
I think that was the last year question.
What was it?
so-
It was I think we said
30.
35% or something.
Yeah.
Just curious.
A rough,
Right.
true guesstimate, but I think that was pretty. Yeah.
And I think the right lunch prices go up, especially if you got a few kids. And
Right.
really,
I
I'm
know.
gonna make this lunch.
Well,
This
Maybe we
is-
should raise the price of the cookies and ice
It'll be 700, it'll be the same quantity, just be the price anymore.
So I would be okay with that, let's raise those prices, maybe.
Right.
Make profit.
So, does anybody want to, if we want to subsidize it more or, not raise it that full 3.6%? We were at about $4.20, $4.25 this past year. Or we keep their suggestion.
That's fine, yes, that's fine.
Is there a motion to approve 6B, the food services cost for 25-26?
Yeah, move to approve the food service lunch cost for 25-26.
Is there a second?
Second,
Ms. Sully, please call the roll.
Erin Hopkinson,
Yes.
Jillian Phelps.
yes,
John Reynolds,
Yes,
Brett Stephen,
Yes.
Lisa Booster,
Yes.
and Jennifer Glentley. Yes. Motion passes.
Okay.
hey Fred, before we go into the closed session, I got one more question about lunches. Is there a reason we don't have microwaves in the cafeteria for kids to warm the food up?
Yes.
What is that?
No one wants to clean them.
Cleaning?
Yeah. That's the short easy answer. No one wants to clean or maintain those microwaves. You can imagine, I know what happens in my house when there's only 5 people.
Well, you don't got that little thing you put in there that cleans it for you? I'll get you one.
Yeah,
No,
thanks.
but is that the real reason that we,
Yeah.
the cost to clean them?
Yep.
Okay, it's not like don't trust them with they all electric.
There's that too.
Put tinfoil in there and blow up the school.
That would also some risk, but
Plastic.
mostly
Yeah.
yeah.
seems disgusting.
Yeah.
Just to have more variety of lunches to send to the kids.
Yeah.
If we did that. True, okay.
Pose quite the bottleneck though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, all right, so, if I could please have a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of. Number one, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific. Employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in park, recreational, educational setting, or specific volunteers of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in the park, recreational, or educational setting, or volunteer of the public body against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. However, a meeting to consider an increase in compensation to a specific employee of a public body that is subject to the local government wage increase transparency act may not be closed and shall be open to the public and posted and held in accordance with Act 5 ILCS 122 C-1. And for number 6, the setting of a price for sale or lease of property owned by the public body, 5 ILCS 120/2 C-6.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Roll call for closed session? Yeah, Mr. Lee, please call the roll.
I have Jennifer Quickly.
Yeah.
Erica Peterson,
Yes.
Jillian Phelps,
Yes.
John Russell.
Yes.
Brad Stepson,
Yes.
Lisa Worcester.
Yes.
And. I will let, once we are at closed session, I'll say the announcement.
Okay, so we will be going to closed session. We will return to open session again. We are going to discuss some of the items out here. If you'd like to wait in the hall or the lobby, we will send somebody out there too.